Oh, she Lawrence McElroy here for Water Tiger School of Tai Chi Chuan on our YouTube channel. Back with another video for you. So we're maintaining the every 3-week schedule so far. Knock on wood like object. And that continues to be the plan at this point. Today's video is going to be on a Tai Chi topic. We're going to start with another piece from the stationary family of Tai Chi Qigong. We'll talk more about that when we get to the warm-up. And then spend some detailed time on structure and vertical alignment. Now I know, and you probably know, that if you've paid attention, if you've been watching through this series, that's kind of something that we hit on almost all the time because it's important that we all sort of get on the same page of how Water Tiger views structure and vertical alignment. But we've never made it the primary focus of one of these videos, and we thought it was about time. So that's what we're going to do. Part of many, focus of none. But now it's going to have its own focus. So t-shirt. It's another one that it's out there. It's been seen before. The first time, this is only the second, was a Facebook Live session for Water Tiger for Sachem all the way back in the beginning, April 6th. It was on wrist stretches, by the way. And I just want to mention, just because I have a green dragon on my chest, it does not mean that I am on Team Green. If you don't know what that means, Google it. Might want to throw in House of the Dragon. Family colors for House Hightower are green. And anyway, so there you go, a little nerdish moment for you. So I guess that's it. We'll get to the warm up. I'm gonna take another drink of my Lapsang Souchong. So this is another piece some of you will recognize as being part of Water Tiger School's 10-piece Tai Chi Qigong breathing set. It is the only other piece posture exercise in the set that isn't from the primary set of stationary Tai Chi Qigong. It's from the Coiling set. And it is Living Buddha Holds Up the Heavens. Don't worry. You don't have to be Buddhist. You don't have to be Buddha. That's just the name of the exercise. Sort of gives you an idea of the physical structure of the exercise, which is usually the guide for most Tai Chi postures, a lot of Qigong postures, that sort of thing. There is a clue to what the physical position should be in the name. Sometimes it's not a clue, it's an actual direction. But this one's full of imagery, and there's sort of an underlying, maybe Taoist philosophical aspect to the name of this posture, but more or less it's about connecting to the earth and connecting up toward the heavens. So anyway, feet are shoulder wide, as close to parallel as possible. We're going to spend a lot of time on that in a little while. Knees are open, a lot of time on that in a little while. Perineum anchored toward the earth. Again, it's basic vertical alignment and structure. Chest is sunk, back is rounded. The pattern here, we have two choices at Water Tiger School. The traditional Living Buddha Holds Up the Heavens. We maintain the basic vertical alignment as the hands go up toward the heavens and then come back down. However, Water Tiger School likes a non-traditional approach, which was actually the way that was taught to me at Black Dragon School, where the back arcs and you look up between the hands. Now that's tricky on people's backs, especially the lower back. If you have any spinal or neck, just specifically neck issues, maybe shouldn't do the arc. And the best is we can figure, because I didn't know to ask back in the day at Black Dragon School, if that choice, that non-traditional choice, was because of the external elixir exercise in Tai Chi Qigong. Sorry, we forgot to do the research and look up where that video lies. There is an external stationary exercise in Tai Chi Qigong called holding up the heavens. And it has, that kind of arced back into position. But anyway, so there you go. I still have my mint. And I need a drink of cold tea before we get back into that. So the mint is gone, mostly. Feet are shoulder wide, as close to parallel as possible. Breathe when you have to. I'm going to suggest a breath pattern. Both breath and movement should be continuous once the exercise begins. The hands should stay left on the left, right on the right, all the way through the exercise. Down becomes up, up becomes down. Inhale becomes exhale, exhale becomes inhale. Think of the internal breath as well as the external breath. And we're going to start with the hands simply dangling. Breathing when you have to. I'm going to demonstrate both traditional and non-traditional as we do this. You should make a choice and just do one for the 3 repetitions. So, again, traditional and non-traditional. I want you to note that if you do the arc should be finished at the same time the hands are done, and returning to full front with crown point of the head to the heavens happens as the hands pass the front of the face. It's not and then look, it's not look and then up, it's not down and then down. Find that connection between the two. So I'll bookend the non-traditional with 2 traditional. So I'm going to start traditional, do the arc, and then end with the traditional. Again, hands just hanging. We're going to find a breath, float the hands. And then we want to find an exhalation, because it's going to be an inhalation that begins the hands on their journey up. The wrists rotate when they have to keep the palms leading. Just delicate lady hand, beautiful lady hand, and fighting the urge to arc. Exhale, finishing the journey up. Shoulders as conduits. They don't create the lift, they follow when they're needed. An inhalation, beginning the journey down. Note the fingertips are in. And then the wrists rotate so the fingertips turn forward. That's one. That's an exhale down. Here's the non-traditional version. Inhale becomes an exhale as the hands get to the head. The arc begins. The arc is continuing. The shoulders following when they have to. And that exhalation and up becomes an inhalation and down. One more. Traditional inhalation becomes an exhalation. An exhalation becomes an inhalation, which then becomes an exhalation. I really feel like we need to do some more. So we're going to do 3 more, same pattern for me. Actually, let's change it up. I'm going to bookend traditional with non-traditional. So here's repetition 4, exhaling, arcing, rising, inhaling, unarcing, sinking, and an exhale down. If you cannot match this breath pattern, then breathe when you have to. Here's the traditional for number 5. Inhalation, beginning the journey up, wrists rotate when they have to. Exhale. Inhale, beginning the journey down. Note the fingertips are mostly inwards. Hands are relaxed, delicate lady hands. Wrists rotate, exhale. And finishing a 6th repetition. Don't worry, I'm not going to drag it out farther. Inhalation. Arcing, wrists rotating, rising, exhaling, inhaling, unarcing, descending, exhaling. Remember, as the wrists float, the arms are completely relaxed. Just that activation in the wrist is it, and the palms do not have to be parallel to the earth. And up, out, over the top of that beach ball filled with helium fills the right leg. Hands in, foot in, hands down, heel down. Little rise, knee pop is optional. And a little sinking. I don't know if the mic picked up the knee pop or not, but my right knee tends to pop from time to time when I'm closing. So that's why I said knee pop is optional. And there you go. Living Buddha holds up the heavens. Just the name, it could be a tree grows in Brooklyn, or cultivating the tree of life, because it's about that root down into the earth, the lightness, the floating, the lift into the heavens. There you go. So I said we're going to talk about structure and vertical alignment. Well, when it comes to structure and vertical alignment in our Tai Chi, though Water Tiger School always talks about how the movement comes from the center and goes down and up, we start our structure at the ground. And we build our structure from the ground up. Now, I don't know if you remember, we did our best to find a video or any reference to the commercials online. And we couldn't find any. I was kind of surprised. There was a commercial series a few years ago. We think it was BMW, about building the car from the ground up. And they had images of things like the Taj Mahal with the great golden domes and everything on stilts. They had the Arc of St. Louis. The top of the arc was done on stilts. So the idea, building the car from the ground up, we don't build a building starting with the roof and working down. We start from the ground up. So a lot of times when I talk about structure and vertical alignment, I begin with shoulder width, with the feet shoulder wide. That sort of skips an important point, or shall I say, points. And that's the nail points of the feet. Now, as we've said countless times, as we have said countless times in these videos, opinions vary. You know, there are differences in almost everything that we do. And nail points are one of them. One of the most popular count on nail points, and by nail points we mean those contact points that nail us to the ground in our feet. But one of the most popular versions is 3. However, there are differences of opinion of where those 3 are. So I'm not going to lift my foot all the way up there, but you know, you have the shoe, right? And many people put the 3 nail points at the ball of the foot, the outside of the instep, and the heel. However, some people put the 3 at the point of the big toe, where it is at the foot, point of the little toe, and the heel. I have seen people who have nail points that include all 5 bases of the toes, all 5 pads of the toes, almost all the way down the instep. Oh, and by the way, the ball of the foot as well. And then like the center of the heel and like 6 points around the heel. I wasn't even counting what that is, but you start there at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, you know, like with 21 points. I don't think there's 21, but I do have more. I do consider that I think more than 3 are important. And it's more or less 1, 2, 3 around the edge, so sort of pinky and a little bit lower than just where it comes into contact with the foot. Pinky, middle, and big toe, sort of behind where the actual yang quan is, not necessarily the yang quan point, the bubbling well cavity, which is our connection point with the earth, which is different than a nail point. And then I put 2 or 3. I want to say 3. Sorry, I had this all mapped out, sort of scripted before we started shooting. And then another 4 on the heel, on the outside, on the inside, on the back, and on the center of the heel. But those nail points are important. What tends to happen a lot of times, if we don't consider any aspect of the nail points at all, when we move into something like 4 stance, the outside of the instep rolls off the ground. And you want to make sure, we talk a lot about driving to the heel. It's almost as if with spiral energy, you can see, as you're drilling down into that heel. And I can still feel that and still have almost the center of the heel on the ground and have the outside of the instep off the ground. But we want to make sure that instep is grounded and secure. That changes and strengthens the root. So keep in mind, starting with nail points. And then shoulder width. Some of you can probably say this with me. You don't have to be a member of Water Tiger School or be in any of the public classes to have heard this time and time again. We define shoulder width by the drops of the shoulders. And we've recently sort of redefined that as not the flesh itself, but where you can feel the bone of the top of the shoulder, which, generally is also, regardless of how bulky your shoulders may be or not be, sort of where the flesh does start to descend. But we just want to make sure that it is that point. Now, Tai Chi is an internal art. So we usually want to address things internally. But I have had instances where I have introduced shoulder width in a public class, and then I come back the next week and I say, step out shoulder wide, and somebody has gone home and measured, right? So that measurement, drop of shoulder, it's sort of hard for me to do this myself. I should have a member of the crew come and give me a hand with this. Should be 18 inches. And, yep. So you can measure, right? And then you have your shoulder width. And then you can do what we oft do before we shoot and go, okay, there's where that goes. And that drop of shoulder should split the heel in half. So I'm putting that tape down where the piece of tape is split in half by the start point, and the split of the tape is in half at the end point. And there is my shoulder width. So you can measure. Generally, if you're standing casually like this, you have somebody that you trust, will give you a quick push, not too hard. See where my foot fell? And no, that wasn't really staged. I let my foot fall where it knew that it could secure me. It didn't stop short because then I would have toppled over. It didn't go long because then there's more of a sense of thud, but it just fell naturally to shoulder width. Okay, that time I went over. But anyway, usually it works. But not always. Again, it's best to sort of feel it out. and to recognize drop of shoulders, depending upon your body dynamic. My arms hang to that point where my fingertips right now are sort of pointing down toward what would be the halfway point of my foot. But again, body dynamics could push arms out more than that. So that's not really a good measure either. But you feel, right? We do this little bounce. You do this little bounce back and forth with some vigor. And notice two things. One, I'm not having to work too hard to make this bounce happen. And two, it's relatively smooth because I don't have to clench to keep from falling over. So it's this nice, secure, kind of like, hey, it looks like he's, riding a train or on a boat or something like that. Now, if I move that foot just inside of my shoulder width and start doing that, we'll notice that it sort of has a little bit more jerky feel because I really have to work to keep from having that happen. If I go just outside of my shoulder width and start the bounce, you can see that there's more work involved, but right at shoulder wide, it's easy to bounce and it's easy to maintain my connection to the earth. Next with the feet, and again, some people will have issues maintaining this or even getting there. I don't have an issue getting to my feet parallel, but I do have a personal challenge with maintaining it because I have, I'm not going to say a natural, but a normal abduction on my right foot. And if I'm just standing here talking to you, if you go back through the videos, you'll see that right foot kick out. And sometimes when it's not supposed to, you probably can see in the videos the right foot kick out if I'm not on my game. I've figured out what has caused that. It's sort of the way I have my foot relate between the accelerator and the brake of my vehicle. And as when I'm more mindful in my driving and cautious with where I set the heel and how I move the foot, I can actually lessen the abduction. It gets less severe. It's not that severe. It's like maybe 10, 15% abduction at times. But anyway, other people have big abductions, or adductions for that matter, right? And what you want to do in that instance when you're first building your structure is if you have that, doesn't cause me any pain, any discomfort to have that foot turned forward. But for people who have greater abductions or adductions, to force and work and get the feet to parallel and, oh, I'm almost there. Yeah. All right. I'm ready to do my Tai Chi and relax. We don't want to do that. So if you have an abduction, feet out, an adduction, feet in, then move them to a point where you feel a stretch, but not a strain. And then live there for a while. And that's as close to parallel as you can get them. And over time, you'll notice the stretch has gone away. Move them a little bit closer to parallel. Feel that stretch again. And eventually, maybe, perhaps, could be, at some point in the future, they'll be parallel. I had somebody on the mat at Water Tiger School for a number of years, about three and a half years, and personal matters took her off the mat. But when she started, her feet were at about 45-degree angles. And she's actually who I just based my little skit on with the working until her feet were parallel. I said, hey, just move them in a little bit, feel a stretch. Over the 3.5 years, her feet went from 45-degree angles to between 30 and 35 somewhere. So she built up that flexibility, that restructuring of her body naturally on her own, allowing for the stretch to take place and not forcing it. So feet parallel, more or less, depending upon the makeup of your feet, you have the same distance between your base of your big toes, and the inside of your heel. That's your foundation. The nail points, the feet shoulder wide and parallel. The knees are open. Now, from time to time, teaching, we run into difficulty with, what does it mean to have the knees open? Well, they're off lock. Well, what does it mean to have the knees off lock? Not straight. This is the straight and strong leg of yoga. You're pressing down into the ground, lifting the hips, lengthening the spine, and lifting the crown point of the head up to the heavens. So everything is lengthened and straight. I mean, I'm not pushing the knees back to lock them. That's not a straight, strong leg. That's a locked off knee. That's a whole different picture. But sitting down into the knees. So the knees are open. The knees are always open throughout all of our Tai Chi. There is not a single time, even in the kicks, even in a dramatic kick. We have 3 kicks in our traditional long form water tiger school that have Fijing in them. Fijin, actually, explosive, not only explosive essence, Fijing, but explosive force, Fijin. My Chinese is awful, by the way, as you all know if you've been watching these videos. But the knees are open always. The base of the pelvic bowl, the perineum, the Hu Yin, the bottom of the C. Oh, by the way, with the feet parallel and shoulder wide, my toes are even with my heels. They are in the same plane. The perineum is the very base of the pelvic bowl. There's really no gentle way to say it's between the foundation of the sexual organs and the anal opening. But it is the point at the very base of your pelvic bowl that is toward the ground, or not, or not. That is anchored toward the earth, not on the earth. And what that creates is what some people will call a qua squat. Feet shoulder wide and parallel, or feet in different positions for different lineages, as always. But the knees open and the perineum anchored toward the earth creates a squatting sense in the qua, where the inner upper thighs come into contact with the pelvic bowl. This is not clenched. This is where all the movement comes from, but in a relaxed fashion. The chest slightly sunk, the back slightly rounded. I meant to preset the medium-sized stability ball closer, and maybe dust it off. I haven't used it in a while. Good job, guys. Right? Not a big stability ball, but a medium-sized stability ball, holding it to my chest. See how the back rounds and the chest sinks. That's what we mean by a sunken chest and a rounded back. That also opens up a relaxation underneath the arms. Now, sometimes when you read, research, or attend a class somewhere, they'll say you need to have the space of your closed fist underneath your arm. That takes work and is not very comfortable. The sunken chest and rounded back, allowing gravity to embrace the arms, actually creates that little bit of relaxation. I just don't want the elbows in our general practice of Tai Chi. There are times we tuck the elbows in when we do different things. Not Tai Chi wise, but Tai Chi related or warm-up related. But this is not one of them. They're open. Again, chest sunk, back rounded creates that little relaxation underneath the arms, or little relaxation underneath the arms creates the sunken chest and the rounded back. Concave in front, convex behind. Slightly in, slightly out. Again, holding that ball. This is also a good sized ball to sort of feel what the reality of the ball is that we hold at various times in our Tai Chi. You can see how the hand conforms to the size of the ball, the forearms conform to the size of the ball, and you take the ball away and it's still there. And it's running away. It has had its moment in the sun and it doesn't want to participate. So anyway, sunken chest, rounded back. Chin from parallel, slight tuck down. Again, it's not dramatic, right? It's not parallel. Parallel, more or less, will put the center of the top of your skull up to the heavens. And the center of the top of your skull is not the crown point of your head. It is not the Bachwei point, the 100 convergences. It is a bit more toward the rear of the skull, where your center line runs up over the top of your head, where it is crossed from an opening of ear to opening of ear position. That is the Bachwei. And that is held, again, held, not lifted to the heavens. And what this all allows for, or for what all this allows, if I don't want my participle to dangle, is for the spine to hang like a string of, well, the actual principle is pearls, not stopwatch. But here's this, I like the stopwatch. We'd actually discussed maybe using, I wear mala all the time, the beads, and using one of those. But this stopwatch, one, I'm used to it, and two, it just hangs nicer than the mala does. Plus, we have the image of the anchor, if I get it out away from my black shirt. Right, so this is the spine. Again, a straight and strong spine of yoga is more like that. Kind of stiff, kind of hard. And if you get it out of vertical alignment, how do you have to find vertical alignment? You have to find it yourself. The spine hanging like a string of pearls, vertical alignment finds itself. The lower point gets out of whack, and you relax, it comes back into whack, as it were. The upper point gets out of whack, the lower point will follow it if you relax and allow it to happen. You don't have to do anything, you just have to allow. And that's your basic vertical alignment. That's what we call vertical alignment 101. We actually go through the whole process. When we closed that piece from the breathing set, that piece of Tai Chi Qigong from the Coiling family of stationary Tai Chi Qigong, we did all aspects. We were in vertical alignment 101 as we did the exercise. We went from 101 to 102, 3, and 4 all together because 102, crown point of the head, base of the pelvic ball, ball of one foot. Either right or left. We bring in the foot, that's sort of 103 because 103 is being able to be in the one leg, not on it, but in it, and move the other leg around. Right and left, both. And 104 is to be able to be in the one leg, being able to move the other leg around, and move the upper body. And that is vertical alignment 101, there's my tape, 102, 103, 104. And by the way, if you need to work on your vertical alignment, you have your balance is slightly challenged or mostly challenged, use something solid. A wall, not a chair like that. Maybe something like this bicycle because it's got a nice strong base. This is your working vertical alignment. Not a good idea, right? Even the chair that we keep here for various reasons. Can be stable, but it's also easy to tip over. So something with a really broad base, a countertop, a tabletop, something solid that will be there when you need it. No nieces, no nephews, no grandchildren, no Afghan hounds, no Great Danes, nothing with wheels, nothing, something solid. So that's your basic vertical alignment. And the foundation of our structure. Foundation of vertical alignment in our structure begins at our feet. The foundation of our structure through our play begins with vertical alignment. And the crown point of the head, the base of the pelvic bowl, generally, as we play, they're always in alignment. And as you're moving, any of the Tai Chi walk, that sort of thing, the cat walk, the climbing mountain walk, crown point of the head, base of the pelvic bowl, ball of the foot, those 3 points, which is what I should have mentioned when we went from one foot to the other. Those 3 points, crown point of the head, base of the pelvic bowl, spine is loose and relaxed. And if the spine is loose and relaxed and things start to go south, it finds itself. But that is what allows us to govern that step, so we can place the foot, have the feather step, and place the foot and not have to shift our weight if we have to pull it back. That vertical alignment is where we should be. Crown point of the head, base of the pelvic bowl, ball of the foot, hips down, shoulders down, as we kick, as we move through to twin dragons. And that's our basic structure, and our vertical alignment plays so much into what we do, but eventually that structure can be adapted to other situations. Now, we still maintain our vertical alignment in, for instance, Repulse the Monkey, but the structure of the step in Repulse the Monkey is a good example of how some of our Tai Chi becomes like those phenomenally unbelievable yoga videos that are out there in the world, with people on one hand, one arm, and their other arm and their feet are going in all sorts of various directions. And they're able to maintain and govern that position because things are balanced through their body. Yes, muscles are engaged, but it's not about muscling your way through those positions. You know, we thought about having me do crow pose as an example, but I'd rather not embarrass myself that much. Anyway, so that's the idea. And what I mean by Repulse the Monkey is, as crown point of the head, base of the pelvic bowl, ball of the foot. But the reason that I'm able to govern that step and reach that foot back is that balance in the way the leg is reaching and the extension of the arms. So we need to get a natural feel for our structure, so we know how to maintain and govern our position, so we're not putting undue strain on different parts of our body. Think of needle at sea bottom. Again, it's not going to keep the crown point of the head directly over the base of the pelvic bowl and moving between the balls of the feet, because as you're doing that pistol type squat, it's not a pistol squat. Pistol squats are different. That's also not in my world, not in my realm of current possibilities. But as you're sitting down into needle at sea bottom, notice sitting down into the hips, I still have, my spine is still relaxed, so it's not a straight and strong spine like in yoga or other aspects, but the crown point of the head, and is still over the base of the pelvic bowl. I'm sitting my weight back, my weight is in my heel, I still have my nail points, but I am not bending more than I need to. That puts more strain on my knee, that puts more weight in that foot. It's like I'm seeking a stool with my rear end and I can't find it. So the chest and the eyes are really up. I mean, I'm not doing this, right? I'm not putting that crimp in my neck. My neck stays in the same position. And however low I go on either side, everything is adjusting to that particular position. But the back is fundamentally relaxed but straight. Same thing in movements like embrace the tiger. Right, we have our sweeping push in R24 or long form. And then as I'm squatting to grab that leg, I'm not doing this. I'm setting down, weight in the heels, and coming up and returning to mountain. So we get that sense, that feeling. It's what someone recently referred to in their social media account, a fellow Tai Chi instructor, as body consciousness. We talk about it in terms of proprioception and kinesthesia, or body intelligence over mind intelligence. Water tiger school is usually how we refer to it, but sort of that BQ instead of IQ, if you will. But again, feel that structure. Feel your balance through your body. Vertical alignment and relaxation allows for that. Tension does not. As we have said oft times, tension is the numbing blanket that cuts off the feeling. So there you go. Again, our basic vertical alignment and structure: shoulder wide, feet, nail points, knees, hips underneath torso, torso underneath shoulders, chest sunk back rounded, relaxation underneath the arms, chin slightly tucked down, crown point of the head the Bach way, which again, center line, crossed, that's about where it is. That allows everything else to come after. That's the foundation for everything. Structure isn't the be all and the end all of our Tai Chi. But without structure, without the foundation of structure, nothing else in our Tai Chi will be what it's supposed to be. So it's really important, fundamentally important, foundationally important, but there is so much more to the art than just structure. But that is the starting point. Thanks. I hope that all made some sort of sense. Definitely deep drill-ish. Normally we just sort of give this really short time in our various videos. So I hope you have found this deep drill and a little sort of side note on feeling the changes of the structure. Once you find the basic structure, being able to then adapt that structure to various moments in what it is we do. So you're not straining anything that shouldn't be strained. As always, thank you for your time and attention. I hope you found this interesting, maybe a little entertaining from time to time. And on the YouTube channel, we are still previewing comments. Something is in a test mode about better screening of comments to keep the spam out. But we've found that their current programming doesn't really do a good job. So that's why we screen comments. That's the only reason we screen comments. Here, we'll also post a link on our Facebook page, Water Tiger School of Taijiquan. And see you in well, I won't see you, you'll see me probably in about another 3 weeks. Not sure what our topic will be. We might go back to the animal frolics. We still have lots of animal frolics to do. We might stick with and do 2 Tai Chi topics in a row. Can't say right now. So take care, stay safe, and catch you next time.